What is up, Tengu plant community, and also maybe Edison community as well, who's watching this video? It's going to be a deck profile on Vayu Turbo, and yeah, Vayu Turbo is one of those decks that normally isn't seen in Tengu plant format. Yet, if you go to Edison format, which is only 5 years earlier, you see like Vayu Turbo constantly winning. But yeah, I wanted to show you guys my Vayu deck profile. Maybe show you guys the differences between the deck list between Vayu Turbo in Edison and Vayu Turbo in Tengu Plant format. Overall, I think Vayu Turbo is like a 1.5 tier list deck in Tengu Plant because it's able to do a lot of damage out. The output is really insane. You can put so much damage on board really fast, and yeah, doing 4,000 damage with Greffer and Soroko and Vayu is always a thing in Edison, but as well as in Tengu Planet's format as well. I would say in this format, because warning exists, it's a lot more easier for you to bring out the arm wing without worrying about bottomless. A lot of people cut bottomless out of their deck in Tengu Plant format. So there's more reason why this deck can actually cheese out a lot of wins because the arm wing gets uncontested and then it goes to the graveyard because they can't deal with it. So a lot of people have to spend their warning on a Greffer, and I think that's kind of ideal. I know that warning is it does stop Greffer plays, and that could be pretty huge, but that's why you play other cards in your deck too that kind of makes the deck a little better. But yeah, I went to a locals that had a Tengu Plant tournament in California, which is really rare. Had like 8 players, and I was able to get I got third place, but I only lost once to Plants. I did win game one against Plants, so if you guys are interested in watching that, the Plant player pretty much popped off game one, and I was still able to grind it out. Vayu Turbo doesn't necessarily mean you have to play the fast game. You can also play the grind game as well. And the deck plays grind game pretty well because you can do Sirocco, normal summons, and then bring out the any monster that comes out of the graveyard, such as not graveyard from the extra deck, such as the Silverwind, and then you can pump up a Sirocco, and that's a 4,800 attack monster. So a lot of damage output in the initial stages of the game. All right, so let's go in the deck profile. I know you guys are just here to look. I played the 3 Greffer and the 1 Armor. Pretty standardized in Edison, but in here you definitely need the Greffer in most hands because you want to pitch off away the Sirocco or the Vayu, so you can bring out the Arm Wing. Not much to say. Sometimes I do use the effect to special summon itself, but I rarely do that. And then I have that 1 Armor because you can search it off of Rhoda and then be able to dump the Plague Spreader Zombie out of this, and it's pretty good. 1 Gale, like most, Vayu Turbo list, 3 Sirocco, and the 3 Vayu. Not much to say. I mean, it's a Vayu Turbo list. The only difference is I will probably show you the difference. Just to keep in mind that the Sirocco is one of the key aspect of doing a lot of damage sometimes. It's really good in Tengu Plant format because if people summon like Thunder King Ryo in a back row, somebody Sirocco is really good against warning because they want to protect the Thunder King Ryo. So you'll summon the Sirocco and they have the warning, the Sirocco. And if they don't the warning, then you can attack over the Thunder King Ryo. That's kind of the idea. So since everybody's on main decking Thunder King Ryo in Tengu Plant format, this kind of punishes that play because you want this in the graveyard anyways if they warning it, because if you somehow find a way to get the Vayu in the graveyard, then you have an arm wing. Greffer, Pitch, any of these two can also dodge Thunder King Ryo because you can banish the Vayu and the Sirocco, and then arm wing can run over the Thunder King Ryo. And they can't warning the Vayu because Vayu will just be in the graveyard still, so you just reactivate the effect until it gets banished. So that's one of the upsides of Vayu Turbo in this meta, in the Tengu Plant meta, because you can do that little situation. 1 Necro Gardener, it's a card you can mill. 1 Plague Spreader Zombie. There is 2 Necro Gardeners format, but deck space is kind of an issue in this deck, so you just want to slim on these cards that you don't want in your hand too much. And 1 Plague Spreader Zombie because you can do Plague Spreader plays. I've seen some lists on Tengu Plant format that play Glow Bulb. Glow Bulb is pretty good. I just don't play enough level 7s in this deck other than Armor Master to justify it. Armor Master can't be brought out by a Glow Bulb anyways because you need a Blackwing Tuner. So because you need a Blackwing Tuner, then you won't be able to really capitalize on Glow Bulb. But yeah, you can definitely mill the Glow Bulb if you do mill a lot. This deck is less milling and more like Greffer. I'll show you an example. So then we have the Dark Arm, which is a really powerful card in Edison as well as Tengu, and then 1 Kais. So the differences between this list and the Edison is that there's only 1 Kais as opposed to 2 in Edison. Kais is great, but I feel like it's I mean, I did win a lot of games because of Kais because he's like 24 base stat, and if you're playing the 3 Veiler package, which I am, I'll just show you guys. Then you can pretty much negate the Tour Guide effect, and then your Arm Wing is the biggest monster on the field because Tour Guide has to resolve its effect in order to go into Leviathan Dragon. And even if they go into Leviathan Dragon, if you want them to waste the Leviathan Dragon, you can Veil a Leviathan Dragon, and it won't gain the attack boost, and then your arm wing will still be the biggest monster on the field. But if you have a Greffer next to your arm wing, then you probably want a Veiler, the tour guide, because tour guide can't. I mean, the Leviathan Dragon can still walk over the Greffer, because you want to protect your Greffer so you can just pitch off one of the Vayus, or the Sirocco, or even one of the dark monsters to fill up your graveyard. So the mill engine, I play the 2 card trooper, the Lila. Sorry. So the card trooper, I should be playing 2 of them. I don't know what happened to the other one. Yes. So I played the 2 card trooper, the Lila, and the 2 Rykos. So Hamster is ultimately cut out of this deck because you do have an extra card trooper. And another reason why you want to play card trooper is because you can attack into a Thunder King Ryo, much like most formats. But card trooper is really good because you can accidentally get a +1 off of this, because you could actually +2, because card trooper mills Vayus or Sirocco's graveyard, and also it attacks over a monster. So if it attacks over a monster that's smaller than 1900, then you get the walk over it, and then you keep the monster still. And then if any instance where it gets destroyed, then you get the draw card to replace it. So I think card trooper in this build is really good in Vayu Turbo. And I played the 2 Rykos. I know Ryko is not seen very much in Tengu Plan format because a lot of things float. If you take the example of Tengu and they attack into this, it does, like, Tengu does get its value, but I don't see Ryko as a card that is able to deal with Tengu. Yes, you could put a Tengu to the graveyard and it makes your synchro plays a lot less better. Or if they summon Torgai into Sangan and they attack into this, that's another thing that they can do. And you still pop the Sangan, because even then, they'll get the search. But the idea is to mill your advantage. So this becomes a sort of a defense card that protects your life point, but at the same time potentially mill the Vayus and Turbos in the graveyard. So you don't really lose advantage per se, and you don't really gain advantage either, but you still need to play the Ryko to mill randomly. It also targets back rows really well, so if you need to target a back row, it's also very useful. 1 Sork and 1 BLS. So because you're playing a higher light count, because you are playing the Lila, the 2 Rykos, and the 3 Veilers, you're allowed to play the BLS and the Sork, and it's almost always live. And sometimes you want to play these cards because you want to modulate your darks in your graveyard so that you can bring out your Dark Arm Dragon. Lila's, I forgot to mention something about Lila. Some Vayu Turbo lists in Edison don't play Lila, but the reason why you play Lila more in Tengu Plat format is because she's a level 4. So you can normal summon the Lila, pop a back row, and if you can protect the Lila from any sort of damage next turn, say she mills like a Necrogardna, and then you Necrogardna the attack, then what you can do the next turn is summon an Armageddon Knight to dump the whatever piece that you're missing from the Lila mill, and then you can overlay into a Utopia, and that's kind of the idea between having Lila in the deck, because you have Xyz play. We also have the Gores here. The Gores is, a must in Tengu Plant format because it's a good retro format, and so Gores is, often a feature of good retro formats, in my opinion, because you can block damage and pretty much survive the next turn. So you have more like a back and forth gameplay. That's all for the monsters. It is a high monster count, but you want to have higher monster counts because you want to mill these cards off the Greffer and the Arma. So I believe it's 22 monsters or 25. I forget what it was. It's 2, 8. So this is 8 here, 11. I don't count Veiler as monsters, even though they are monsters, but we'll just count them as monsters for now. So it's 8, 11, 15. 15 plus 7 is 22, 26. So we have 26 monsters in the main deck. So that's kind of like most likely you're in a high monster hand. I thought about playing Tragodia because not many people play a main deck Devastation Virus. This deck can actually main deck Devastation Virus, but there's not a lot of decks that get affected by it, even plants for the most part. Even if they lose their Debris Dragon or their plant monsters, they get effects in the graveyard, so it's not too great. Yeah. One Mind Control. Normally in Edison format, they don't play Mind Control in the main deck. They side it for like the mirror match. But Mind Control is really good because you can steal someone's Tengu and then overlay it with one of your level 4s so that you can go into Utopia. So this makes Tengu is not a factor in this matchup because they can float relentlessly with this deck or with this card. Without this card, we have the Dark Hole because it's really good. Burial because it's a really broken card in this deck. And yeah, you still get your pluses in this deck. We have our Rhoda, our Charge, Allure, Monster Reborn, and Heavy Storm. Those are all the spell count. This card makes the deck a lot more aggressive, so you can actually finish your opponent really fast. And since it's a spell, you don't have to have any sort of setup where you have to set it first and then resolve it. Monster Reborn just can go, pretty much OTK out of nowhere. This is why Vayu Turbo is really good in this format, I would say. Trap cards, I play the Torrential, the Dust Shoot, the Return. Return's amazing. I almost wondered why Vayu never played this card before in the past. This card is just like you just set up your graveyard, banish a lot of Vayus and Sirokas in the out of the graveyard, and then you just make your play. Normal summon the Plague, and then synchro with the Armwing, and then the Plague goes to the banish, and then you know synchro summon into like a Stardust or Scrap. Use the Scrap Dragon effect pop if you really fear a back row, and then you just flip the Return, and then you have like all these monsters coming back. Pretty insane, I would say. And then being able to synchro summon if you have a Gale, for example, or a Plague, and you make a Bryo. A lot of people don't know this still for some reason, but if you make a Bryonac and you have like a field of Vayus that came out of the Return, then you can just pitch cards and then from your hand to the graveyard, bounce back the Vayu, and then pitch the Vayu to return back another monster, and then just keep doing it until you load up your graveyard with Vayus and Armwings, and then you just make Armor Master off that. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, that's what you can do in Tengu, and you can still do that in Edison. I mean, backwards. And then we have the Warning and the Solemn. So the Solemn Brigade is kind of a must in Tengu platform format. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So that's 40 cards, minimal spells and traps so that you can, you know, mill efficiently. Let's go into the extra deck. Extra deck's pretty crazy, I guess, because the only thing that's new is the Librarian. But for the most part, you're playing the 2 Armwings with the 2 Armor Masters. They're basically vanilla cards because they come out of the graveyard for free, and then the Silver Wind. Then we have our level 6. The only new addition is Orient Dragon, but you're still playing the Bryonac for the level 6s. Scrap Dragon is also new too as well. So these are kind of like the new cards that they acquire. The Scrap Dragon, Tengu Plant stuff. Then we have the Stardust. That's old. Darken's old. Trish is new. I thought about cutting out Trish so I can make a level 7. But Trish is still very good in some hands. I thought about cutting Stardust actually, because Stardust, even though it's great level 8, sometimes I just don't want it. I'd rather have a Scrap Dragon instead. But I do need a generic level 7 so that if you normal summon a Veiler to synchro summon with your Armwing, you can make it. And then the Armwing will be in the graveyard, and if you have a Vayu in there, you can banish for Armor Master. That's kind of the idea. And then the Xyz I play is 1 Leviathan and 1 Utopia. The reason I play Leviathan is because I do play Card Trooper and Necrogardener. And so you can steal someone's like Dandelion with the mind control and then overlay for this card. That's kind of the idea behind it. But not much to say about the extra deck. That's the extra deck for you guys. And let's go into the side deck. So Deck Devastation Virus, really good card against specific matchups like Plant. I mean, I don't know if I side this for Plant per se, but any deck that just plays like a lot of weenies like X-Sabers, you can then resolve this against X-Sabers. Seeing this as that deck has picked up in popularity, this is pretty good. You can also side this against agents too. You can hit their Earth out of their hand, their Mystic Shine Balls, and their Herald of Orange Light. Although Herald of Orange Light doesn't really affect you too much. I guess if you use normal summon Gruffer and then try to pitch a Vayu, then they can like stop that play with Orange Light. But for the most part, it's like whatever. But yeah, so that's kind of it. That's only for those 2 matchups. I can't even think of another matchup besides X-Sabers and Agents and maybe Plants. But yeah, you just decide this against those 2 matchups off the top of my head. I guess TGs, you can hit their Striker and their Warwolf, but they have Tengu Plant. I mean, they have Reborn Tengu in their deck, so I probably wouldn't side that for that matchup. 3 Vanity's Emptiness in the side deck rather than the main deck. I'm a really big fan of this card as a floodgate because you can just do your big plays and then just shut off their plays on the following turn by flipping this. So a lot of decks special summon thought about main decking it for some reason. But the reason why I don't main deck it is because people main deck MSTs, might main deck MSTs, and since I play a high monster count and they see that, I probably want them to side out their MSTs and then side in the Vanity's Emptiness. So it's kind of like the same concept with Light Sworns. You also play Lila too, so if you see MSTs, you can pop the back row, and then just set the Vanity's Emptiness. If you fear the MST, that's one of the things you can do. Chaos Trap Hole is specifically for agents, but you can also side this for heroes as well. It just really doesn't matter. It just depends on the situation. Then we have our Gozen match because you're playing mostly a dark deck. So if you're playing against plants, you can side this card and then try to lock them out or play in the game. It's a really good floodgate card against plants. I think it's more preferable to have this card over the Vanity's Emptiness in that matchup because they can't really do much. You'll lock them into wins most likely because they'll have the Reborn Tengu, and then they can go Lone Fire into Spore or something. Then we have our Maxi, not a card you want to main deck in Tengu Plant format. I know some people like to main deck it, but this deck you kind of don't need it. because the only thing you fear is like plants when they pop off and kill you. But that's pretty much it. So you just side this for plants, and the rest is just like slow grind. Then we have one DD Crow. DD Crow is just for the plant matchup. I don't sign it for anything else, not even agents. And then we have the two MSTs. In case someone floodgates me that I didn't know about, I have the MSTs. Maybe like Shadow Imprisoning Mirror, but I don't think people side that card. My matchup throughout the whole tournament was first round I played against Durax, against the Amazing Mike Man. I was able to beat him. If you guys are interested in watching the gameplay video, I'll have that there. And then in round two, I beat him. And then in round two, I played Plants. I got 2-1 against, or 1-2 against that deck. And then the final round, there was only 3 rounds because there's only 8 players. I played against Piper Chaos, which I won 2-1. Yeah, that's pretty much the deck list. I hope you guys enjoyed the Tengu Plant version of Vayu Turbo. Pretty cool little list, I would say. So if you guys are interested in playing this and you play Edison format, this is a really good segue for you to play this deck into Tengu Plant format if you can't afford any other deck. But yeah, that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed your little holiday, and it was really nice seeing all the faces that were over the weekend. Actually, it wasn't a weekend. I always completely confuse the holidays with the weekend, but it's not necessarily the weekend. It was actually during the weekday that I was able to do this. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time on the next Tengu Plant deck profile. See you guys later. Peace.